Time, the progression of events from the past to the present into the future. Basically, if a system is unchanging, it is timeless. Time can be considered to be the fourth dimension of reality used to describe events in the third dimensional space. Time is a construct created by humans to understand the flow of life itself. All animals birth, age, die, things get created but eventually rot and deteriorate into the same thing they came from. Everything moves because time exists. But if the first person who thought about time didn't exist, would it still exist? Probably will, but different. We created God a long time ago to blame, take our responsibilities for things we couldn't understand and things we couldn't emotionally handle. Early man couldn't comprehend how natural phenomena like earthquakes, storms, and other natural disasters happen. So they worshipped them, asking for protection. Eventually, they gave these unexplainable phenomena humanoid appearances, putting them on a pedestal and calling them gods. Superhumans above humans who can control the very humans who gave them life. Aren't humans fascinating? Evolution forced them into socializing, but the same thing came back to bite them in the ass during death. Grief over loved ones was too much to handle. They blamed it on death itself, giving life to death. Haha, I think I found another paradox. Hi, I'm Megaman, and this is a piece of my madness. In my video about origin of Enconomia, I realized something odd about the god of time. The people who worshipped her sounded too desperate to be rational. As a civilization that built a lighthouse that acts as an artificial sun, they sound too dumb. Let me rephrase it. They sounded too ideological for a civilization that is advanced enough to replicate the sun. Plus, there are some contradictions I saw. So I decided to think deeply about this topic and explore a bit more about this istaroth lady. Before that, understand that I am a Buddhist who denies the existence of one omnipotent God, but do accept the existence of gods as roles fulfilled by different souls from time to time. So my view on God may be a bit too harsh for you. Istaroth, or the god of time, who is connected to both Mondstadt and Inazuma in this weird way. In Mondstadt, plus all the other places probably, time flows only forward with the wind. Like how all sacrificial weapons speeds up the time instead of turning the clock backwards and resetting time. By the way, sacrificial weapons are made to celebrate and respect the gods of time and wind. The connection with Venti and god of time is shown in a few places like the two sundials in Mondstadt, sacrificial weapon family, and this carving I found somewhere in Enconomia, but to be honest, I don't remember where it is. In Inazuma, where eternity rules, time is just a word. For someone unchanging, time is irrelevant. That's how it's explained in physics. Those are the big words I said at the beginning of this video. Raiden and Miko talked about how Istaroth might have helped Makoto, but as I said before, for someone who rules an entire half of eternity with agnosis, time is not a problem. After the battle between the two big shots in Genshin, the Primordial One and the second who came, Primordial One with its three other shades stopped responding to the people of Enconomia. And before that, it said Primordial One created 4 shades of itself, and one of these 4 is Istaroth. And she is the only one who responded to the people of Enconomia, when the other 3 plus the big guy didn't. This is what people like to believe after we found this tablet called Before Sun and Moon. Here's what makes no sense. At first, I thought the Primordial One split into 4 with itself as the leader because everything in Genshin revolves around this thing which has 3 petals. 3 realms, 3 moons, and whatever this thing is. So it makes sense for the big guy to make 3 underlings. But okay, sure, let's say we connected this weird pentagon as Primordial Dude and its 4 shades. If all 5 of them are the same person, as it said, why is one different from the rest? Why is Istaroth responding to the people when her own other consciousnesses decided not to? Let's say the big guy split its personality into 5 and gave completely opposite personalities to each other. If so, between the 5 of them, statistically, at least two should stay behind to help the people. But no, only God of Time stayed behind. As I said before, time is just a word to describe everything that changes. Time started running since the universe started to exist. And maybe even before, if the multiverse theory is correct. Only because of time, the universe started to expand and age. The concept known as time existed either way. Only the name we gave it let us understand it. The same can be said for God of Time. Did time not exist before Istaroth was created by the primordial one? That is impossible, since there were beings in Genshin world even before the big guy landed in his egg. So either the God of Time is non-existent, or someone later called themselves a God of Time because they could interfere with time. A role was given to a thing that already existed, giving a natural phenomenon a material form so humans can blame their mishaps on it. We, as humans, are the ones giving life to gods literally and figuratively. In Buddhism, there is a gatha that gives our blessings to the gods so they can stay in heaven. We are not supposed to accept anything back, but people do accept protection from them in return. Just like that, we are the ones who created God and continues to let them live. Also, in Genshin, gods get their power from the fate, an area that God has its dominion over, acted out by humans, like freedom, contracts, and familiarity. Even if you don't get what I just said, think about it this way. If a group of people elected a leader and suddenly everyone left that leader, who is he going to rule? And if you don't want to get trapped in a perpetual time loop that will eventually drown you in insanity, hit the like and subscribe buttons. We gave time something that is basically impossible to understand perfectly, a physical manifestation, and blamed that person for everything about time we couldn't understand. We knew the only one who had not forsaken us as the ruler of time. She was the moment. She was every moment. She was the measure of 1,000 winds, and the sun and the moon. She was every second of joy, every moment of rage, every instant of longing, every minute of obsession. She was every flash of delirium. We call her Kairos, or the ruler of the unchanging world. We dare not to speak her true secret name. And so I pen it here only once and in reverse. Throatsi? I don't know, Israel backwards. This is what her people wrote about her. I said it once and I will say it again. How this is written? They sound desperate, like a bunch of cavemen from a few 10,000 years ago. To be fair, they did live like cavemen for a while after they fell off plus ratioed from Tearite. But here's the crazy part about her people. Just after Abrax constructed Helios, most people just forgot about Astaroth. It's like she never existed. The nobles used the Helios itself as a god, proving my point about the gods being lifeless things gajinkified by Rule 34 artists. The quote itself says they suffered from delirium, which is a mental disorder that shows delusions as a symptom. Go watch my video about delusions for more details about that. Delusions came with hallucinations, which might explain how they came to the God of Time conclusion at a time of desperation. And have any one of you have seen a single statue of any other god other than the statues of Seven, Venti, Goba, Heavenly Principles and Orobashi? I think the answer is simple. The one person who's going to say Thunderbird statues? Shut the fuck up. I don't consider that thing a god, nor does the title of this video say anything about any other god other than the God of Time. Gods of all the other elements are just temporary rulers of an element, a magic power. But time is different. It's not a power. Time is a concept. So, controlling a concept that has its properties belonging to the fourth dimension in the third dimensional world is very weird to me. Think. Time is a physical concept that no human can understand properly. Makoto is the god of transient. The god of understanding time changes, and everything under it also constantly changes with it. Raiden's final goal is to reach heavenly principles, which have a lot in common with attaining enlightenment, according to how Ryan described it. But she had the core principle flipped around. And that's whatever. Makoto understands the real nature of heavenly principles. So, Makoto might have a better understanding of time. She might understand that time is not just a linear construct, but much more. She had understood Istaroth, got help from a higher power, got help from Istaroth, got help from time. If this Istaroth does exist, she is someone who has reached that final potential of heavenly principles. If so, she should be detached from material and can do crazy things like controlling concepts. But the problem is, if she has reached that point, there is no need to use that power since she should be rid of all material stuff. It's like when you understand stuff, you are rid of stuff, making stuff meaningless and intangible, making all stuff bend to you. But since you are intangible, there is no point in being involved. Just forget everything I just said. Even I can't understand myself. So, my final conclusion is Istaroth is just a concept given life out of pure desperation and spread out through TV just like a real world theist religion. That's more than enough physics and philosophy amalgamated into one video. These are just my opinions according to my understanding of time, Genshin history, physics and philosophy. So you are free to believe me or not believe me. Believe whatever you want. It's not my concern. If you agree with my crazy idea this time, smash that like button. If you are new to this channel, check out my other theories, and if you like my content, join the madness by hitting the subscribe button. And also, give me your thoughts in the comments. You know by now, this is just theory in a random dude's head on the internet. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, let your imaginations run wild.